Hello, so I thought I would do a video explaining the difference between Dwerg and Dark Elfar. So, Dark Elves and Dwarves. Many people think that they are the same, and that's a yes and a no question or answer. So, Light Elves, your regular elves, I'm talking about pre-Christian elves, not post, like after Christianity version of elves, because after Christianity dwarves and elves became like midgets, and they became also what we would call nature spirits before. So when you think of all the little creatures in the woods and that, like fairy folk and that type of thing, they were not elves and dwarves to our ancestors, our pagan ancestors, but to our Christian ancestors it became this. But so dwarves are your emotions, and when you keep they live in your unconscious and subconscious minds, mostly in your subconscious mind, because that is what projects our reality, what manifests the life energy of Yrmin or Ymir. Every second you are constantly remanifesting everything, and collectively we are all constantly remanifesting the world together. But for yourself, if you have your three minds in alignment, you can manifest certain things, you can affect it to a certain degree with your dwarves. And you can manifest things for yourself that you want, as long as it is in alignment with your three minds. Some things that your soul wants, that you had planned in Helheim before you came to Midgard to incarnate again, to experience certain things you wanted to experience. And that's what the dwarves do. So they are what you would call like your lower self. And then you have your higher self, which is where the light elves are. Okay, the elves are in your higher self, and then and also the gods, and like your higher awareness. And then you have your conscious self, which is you. And so the way it works is you do your ritual, and you are connecting with your higher self when you do your ritual. And then the dwarves see what your conscious self is saying you want to manifest, what you want to create. When you give your offering, your sacrifice, and you do your energy work, and you focus on the things you want to create for yourself in your life, then the dwarves see you connecting to the elves and see you connecting to the gods, your higher self, and then the dwarves go out and they begin to manifest that for you. Just as the dwarves manifest Mjolnir, Thor's hammer, and all these things like that, like Freya's necklace, and all these things are made by dwarves. And they are all made, everything they make is from life energy, because that is our reality, is manifested from Ymir, life energy. So the dwarves are underground, in the mines and the caves, because they are in our subconscious mind and unconscious minds. And the reason why in the mythology, like in Arfismar, if the dwarves stay up in the sunlight, then they turn to stone. It is not because they are bad or evil. It is because they only have their power when they are in your subconscious and unconscious minds. When the sun comes up, the soul, then that is them entering the realm of your conscious mind. And when they do that, then they lose their power. So you cannot just sit there with your conscious mind and think of something you want and then manifest it with your conscious mind. Your dwarves can only manifest and only have their power when they are underneath in your unconscious and subconscious minds. That is what that is representing in the mythology. And then Dark Elfar is when you lose connection. So when your dwarves, because they can manifest things, when they lose connection with the elves, the light elves and the gods, which means you, because you are all three of these things. So when you've lost connection with your three minds, like depression, for example, or you're a really angry, hateful person, you find no joy in life, then things like this is when you lose connection, or just feeling lost in general. And then your dwarves do not know what to do, but they are used to taking orders from the light elves. So what they do is they manifest dark elves, dark Arthur. They manifest dark elves in the unconscious and subconscious minds because they naturally want to communicate with the elves to be told what to do. Because you, when you do ritual and energy work, you connect with the elves and the gods, and you tell them with your conscious mind what you want to plan. And then the gods in turn tell this to the gods, and the elves in turn tell this to the dwarves. And then the dwarves make it into reality. That's how the order of communication goes. So in ritual goes conscious self connects with higher self, and then the lower self sees this connection and understands from the elves, then the ancestors who are your ancestors who have had many lives and no longer feel they need to incarnate. In Christianity times, they were turned into what you would call guardian angels or whatever. That is what the elves were turned into after Christian times. And then, so when they don't have this communication, which happened after Christianity, because we stopped doing ritual, so they lost the communication, and then they start creating, if you do not naturally go after the things that you want in life, and you start, oh, I can't do that, oh, I shouldn't do that, I should do this instead because whatever, right? Like, for example, in the Bible, pride is a big problem. You are not supposed to ever be proud of yourself. Anything good you do, you have to give the pride to God. That is, a proud Christian is not actually proud of himself. He gives his pride to God. Oh, I did it, but you know what? I only did it because God did it through me. Right? And dwarves hate that. So therefore, that's a sign of losing communication. After Christianity, we started having all these sicknesses that we never had in pre-Christian times. And so when the dwarves can't communicate with the light elves, when you're not going after the things that you want for you, then the dwarves manifest dark elves, and the dark elves they have no connection to the light elves, but the dwarves can manifest things, so they manifest these things in your subconscious and unconscious mind called dark elf, and then these things bring either mental insanity, they'll drive you crazy, give you nightmares, all sorts of crazy shit. And they'll also make you physically ill. They'll give you back pain, they can give you cancer, and in the end, they can actually cause your death, a premature death. So, yeah, just a little bit on it. I thought I would share with you. And, yeah, it's because I made the one video about Weefdwag against the dwarf and explaining how dwarves can make you sick, and that is why the Christians, during the Christianity, they still understood that dwarves, your emotions are why you're sick. Like all doctors will say, every single human being has cancer in them, always. You always have cancer cells in you every single day, but your body is constantly killing them off because you have what they call a healthy immune system. But as soon as you become depressed, upset, angry, your emotions kill your immune system and you stop killing the cancer cells, and then people have cancer. That's just one example. And same thing with people. I noticed, some people just always have a cold. They're always sniffling and coughing and things like that. And that is usually to do with, they have unconscious sadness, which means they can think that they are happy on a conscious level, but unconscious means the part of your mind that you are not aware of. That's why we meditate and do ritual, to make the unconscious conscious, as Carl Jung said. And then once you make the unconscious conscious, then you take action upon why you're feeling unconsciously sad, once you become aware of it on a conscious level, to deal with it. And then you will no longer have these issues of constantly having a cold and sickness and sniffles. Me, for instance, I have not been sick in many years. I never get sick. I don't get head colds, nothing. Even in Canada, minus 40, minus 50 degrees Celsius, and I never got fucking sick. I was always healthy, and everyone was always sick around me. And even though they were sick around me in these camps up north and stuff, everyone would get sick, and I would be the one who would not get sick no matter what, because I keep my three minds aligned. I keep my emotions under control. I feel my emotions. I express my emotions, and I deal with them. I do not avoid them. Avoiding your emotions is like the worst thing you can do for yourself. So that's just a little bit explaining more about your emotions, or dwag and Dorkarfar, and the difference between them. So are they the same? Yes and no. Because they are created from your dwarves. So yes, technically they are just a creation of your dwarves in your subconscious mind and unconscious minds, but really at the same time they're kind of their own entity once the dwarves have created them. To